But what are we going to do? Are we going to come back to 2-2 when we start the game badly and just take a 2-2 or even lose the game 3-2? Are we going to show some fucking balls and win the game? Okay, so what does that? What needs to happen then? Okay, what needs to happen is when we're defending, every fucker on the pitch has to defend. Every player has to defend. And when the subs come on, you have to give us energy to win this game. Go and win the game and show more belief.
Finally, Chelsea decided to part ways with Rosenior. But why was Liam actually sacked? I'm going to delve into three main reasons why I think Liam was generally sacked. Now, the first reason, I generally explained it in my live stream, and I would leave kindly ask you to go to the live stream section of my live stream and understand the first reason, which is he was a sacrificial lamb. And Liam has been one person who was being fattened for slaughter. And I think this comes from his inexperience within the job and his naivety to actually see what was coming, because it's that they wanted to create a situation where he was the black sheep and all sins that have happened under Bluko were put on him, and he was actually sacrificed at the right time. So if you are new in this channel, do not forget to like, share and subscribe. I just want to say this, that there was some point where Liam Rosenior had actually started quite well. His first 4 games were wins and were considerably against teams which Chelsea should have won. But we all waited to ask ourselves this question: is Liam cut out to actually go toe-to-toe with the big boys? And when Arsenal came, it was quite clear that he was not the right guy for the job. He was slapped 3 times in a row. Now, when we look at this, we understand that Liam's second reason why he was sacked is because Liam lost the dressing room. As I have said, the question was he cut out for it? Now, the first thing that I have to talk about when it comes to losing the dressing room is the Enzo Fernandez situation. Enzo Fernandez did not speak as much as Cucurella spoke, but yet Enzo Fernandez bore the biggest criticism and blame. He was banished, he was suspended, and Enzo being one of the key figures in the dressing room, it meant that Liam Rosenior was actually attempting something that would actually make him lose the dressing room. And it was quite clear. Going after Enzo Fernandez for not doing what Cucurella did showcased his naivety and his inability to actually handle the dressing room well. And once that happened, you just came to realize that the players sooner or later threw him under the bus, the brand of whatever thing he caused, which is trying to go toe-to-toe with players. You can never win a battle when it comes between the manager and the players. And the third thing was his tactical inabilities and his tactical flaws, which I've been talking about. And you can just try to see his difference between him and Maresca and how Maresca was actually superior to him in this department. But before you even check that, do not forget to like, share and subscribe this video for more videos like this. In the video today, we try to look in the tactical and statistical differences between Liam Rosenior and Enzo Maresca, looking at the strengths and weaknesses of both managers and coming up with the best solution for Chelsea. Now, let's look at Maresca in particular. Maresca's philosophy was a 4-2-3-1, but Maresca's main philosophy was control. Control involved having wingers who are the ones who generated the width, a forward number 9 who would occupy the center backs, and then his most important creators, that is Fernandez and Palma, picking up those half space position. Maresca wanted a balance of 5 players in attack and 5 players in defense. Now, this balance was struck actually by one of the fullbacks inverting in midfield alongside Moises Caicedo. Now, this will give Maresca the much needed box midfield and allow one center back to tuck into the back line so that he can have that back 3. Now, there was so much interest about this system. This system ensured that whenever they played a back 4, they will always overload that back 4 and have their wingers as the most important players, being that they are the ones who will get the ball majority of the time. He would also look to push his rest defense, which are the 3 center backs and the two midfielders into slightly higher positions as a safety net to recycle the ball once the ball was lost. If he faced the back five, he would move to push Cucurella even further up so that he could have an attacking triton of 6 and 3 and 4 players actually being the one to sit behind like a rest defense so that Chelsea would overload the opposition. Now this worked for Maresca because he was able to cover those wide spaces in the back. I want you to look at this Chelsea versus PSG. See the distribution of Chelsea's players in all 5 horizontal faces of the pitch. Look at how Chelsea are able to create triangles, and look at how Chelsea are able to find their particular attacking players in between the lines. And a simple pass, PSG are now facing a 5-man Chelsea attack. And look at how the two pivots actually push forward just in case the ball is lost so that they can have the rest defense. Even when the opposition try to play the ball forward to try and progress, you see Chelsea always have that +1 in that backline. Now, this ensured one thing. This ensured that whenever Chelsea's pivots will get the ball, they will have that space and that structure in attack where they will be easily able to get the ball. And also, in the event where Chelsea would lose the ball, look at the position of the two pivots. Look at the position of the two pivots. Caicedo and whoever was tucking into that midfield would give them that space. So if you're new in this channel and you like this, kindly like, share, and subscribe. And let's look at Liam Rosenior. Now, Rosenior has been one manager who understood that Chelsea's problem in Maresca's system was the stillness, the inability of Chelsea to create chances and actually to score more goals, which to some extent was right because Maresca's system was somehow looking to be sussed out. Now, Rosenior also opted to have this 5-man attacking setup, but the difference between him is how he used his fullbacks. He would push one into the attack, while the other will not invert in either the midfield or the backline, but also be pushed up in attack. Now, this created what we call system imbalance. How? Because now Chelsea were having only 4 players as their rest defense, and the wide areas, especially on either side of the center backs, was always open. And whenever the two pivots would push forward to counter press, the center backs would be in a position where they are out, there is no +1 and they would be easily overloaded. Now let us just look at this. Here Chelsea are looking to break this 4-4-2 block. But you can see Caicedo has actually dropped into the back line and Rosenior has opted to push both fullbacks high. Now, if Caicedo is in that midfield position and one fullback actually tucks deep, they are able to manipulate that 4-4-2. Here again, look at this situation here. Chelsea have just remained with 2 center backs and even Caicedo has joined that midfield. Now, Rosenior's idea is generally to have 2 double pivots, preferably 2 midfielders getting onto the ball. But this is actually making the fullbacks to be the ones who are actually staying out wide. Now, this is ensuring that Chelsea have that box, especially in the build-up phase, and also having those wide fullbacks. But the problem is this actually takes out one player in attack, making Palmer to be easily marked. And in a situation where Fernandes also pushes up and Cucurella and Gusto pushes up, it leaves the rest defense exposed. And that is what we have actually seen, problems actually coming out. We're even seeing players like Fernandes coming out and questioning Rosenior's system. Now let's look at the stats, because everything that I always say is that the stats, there is always the truth in the numbers. Now let's compare Rosenior and Maresca. Now, when it comes to goals conceded per game, under Maresca, Chelsea just conceded 1 goal per game compared to 1.4 in Rosenior. That means it's an average of 2 goals. Big chances, Maresca was just creating 2.7 while Rosenior was 3.7, meaning that Rosenior creates more chances because he plays more expansive. But the clean sheets have dropped from 8 to 1. Let's look at the second metrics. Under the 19 games of Maresca, he won 11, he drew 4, and he lost 4. Under Rosenior, he won 5, he drew 2, he lost 3. And this is a very worrying trend, considering that he should have at least just lost 2 and maintained that system, and he will probably get the same number of points as Maresca. Now we go to the third matrix, and when we look at the chance creation, I've told you Rosenior's expansive kind of football helps Chelsea to create a lot of chances in the final third. The problem is that they end up conceding more goals with this system. We have also seen one thing, that the clean sheets and the set pieces under Maresca have actually regressed, under Rosenior have regressed, compared to when Chelsea was scoring 34.4% of the set pieces. Now they hardly score beyond 5.3% from set pieces, and they are also conceding more when it comes to set pieces, showcasing that there is that level of lack of structure during set pieces, and even sometimes they're conceding goals when they themselves have actually gone forward to take a set piece. Now, the thing that worries me a lot generally is the clean sheet the clean sheet situation. The discipline situation under Maresca, out of 41 games, 4 red cards. Under Rosenior, out of 24 games, 2 red cards. So the discipline issue, I cannot pin it on the manager because it's something that has been there and we have seen. Then errors leading to goal is where we are seeing it has increased, because you see, Rosenior wants his goalkeeper to be more involved in the build-up. The same thing with Maresca, but the structure in which Rosenior is setting up the goalkeepers is not giving them the latitude to actually avoid these mistakes. And because he's stubborn in ensuring that the goalkeepers keep on playing from the back, it is costing Chelsea points. Now, the situation here is that Maresca learned from the best, and that was Pep Guardiola. And how did Pep Guardiola Rosenior actually do this? Now, Rosenior was very different. He likes to use a man-oriented approach in the press. In this case, when he was facing PSG, he wanted to have his players man-marking the PSG players. And this is where he found actually fault. Because now, in this kind of scenario, he has to commit so many players into that press. By pushing his 2 midfielders onto PSG's midfielders, and then the position of Dembele, who keeps on dropping deep to even out numbers, forced him now to even consider pushing one of his center backs from positions to actually come and follow Dembele. In this particular case, it was Trevor Chalobah. And what that meant is that now his fullbacks were being isolated 1v1, especially down the right, where PSG wanted the ball to be played there, and immediately look to counter that situation and get the ball onto that side. So in this scenario here, PSG now are forced to play the ball, and Chelsea are being left in a 2v2 position in the back line. So the ball is here, the ball is managed to be played over the top into that space. Once the ball is played towards that top into that space, you realize that there is a situation where this kind of problem is actually being obtained. Now, I just want you to see here in this Chelsea versus PSG game in the Club World Cup, and you can see Chelsea are trying to press PSG, and you can see Chalobah has followed Dembele, and you can see Levi Colwill has also been dragged in field. So what happens? Once this, what the goalkeeper does is that he looks to play the ball directly towards the line of Malo Gusto, and Chelsea are so lucky because Gusto actually lost that duel. So Chelsea attempt to repeat the same mistake against PSG, and PSG literally punished Chelsea in that round of 16 kind of tie, because once that 1v1 has been created, it is highly agreed that Kvaratskhelia is able to beat Sarr, and once he's able to beat Sarr, it's a situation where Chelsea are actually struggling in that case, because now once this ball has been gotten, then you find the issues are really coming up. Now we have Maresca and Enzo. Now, Enzo Maresca was quite dynamic in the way he looked to adapt his system, and with him, he had prioritized zonal marking over man-oriented man-marking features. Now, so I want you to see this Rosenior pressing shape, and you can see one thing. Yeah, Everton have the ball, and I want you to show you how Chelsea have issues with the disconnected have a disjointed mid block. So Palmer drops deep, and you can see Chelsea are trying to maintain that 4-4-2. But look at the position of Palmer and the position of Lavia. So Palmer is now tucking into midfield, and you can see, look at that space. Whenever Garnacho is looking to go and press, they are not moving as a block. Compared to that which I was showing you, they are not moving as a block. So in this case, João Pedro goes to press, and look what is happening. Lavia is the one who's picking up this player, yet this player was actually supposed to be being picked up by Cole Palmer. So Lavia steps out, then this player gets the ball with minimal press, and then one simple pass, Everton are able to play through that Chelsea's midfield. It all started because, and look at also the space of the backline. Look at the space of the backline. A simple pass, and Everton are able to score. And it underpins the naivety when it comes to Chelsea's press, the naivety when it comes to their compactness when they are trying to press and limit the opposition. They are coming out to be so wide, and once they're coming out to be so wide, you find a situation where they can easily play the ball. So now here you have Pep Guardiola actually showcasing how you actually handle these kinds of systems. Now, the way you handle these kinds of systems is very simple. Pep has designed a way of doing this. How Pep does this is that he plays with a narrow 4-2-4. So this 4-2-4 is way narrow, is way rigid. Now this 4-2-4 ensures that it is so compact that it doesn't allow any player to come actually and play through it. And because it's so narrow, it is ensuring that Arsenal cannot play through the middle. Because look at how the front four are, and look at the position of the backline. As much as the blocks are way disjointed, what you notice is that Manchester City are ensuring that if Arsenal have to play them, then they just have to go over the top. They can't play through them because of how compact they are. And you can see how Manchester City are. Very compact, very narrow, and very rigid. This is making it super impossible for Arsenal to actually play through. And why is this case? This is the most important way of actually dealing with this, because when you play compact, when you ensure those lines are compressed horizontally and vertically, it means that the opposition has nothing to do. And therefore, in that kind of scenario, Chelsea and Manchester City are in a position where they actually cannot be contained by Arsenal. And I think that is the way forward for Arsenal when it comes to actually dealing with these kinds of scenario. Narrowness, compactness, ensuring that you limit any sort of issues in this case. So once again, that's the general way in which Chelsea have to do it. Thank you very much, and see you in the next video.